Yo, it's me, it's Jack. Bit of a different intro. Anyways, if you saw the title of this video, you know what it's about. So I guess, instead of stalling, let's just get into it. First question is, what is Vocaloid? Hang on, which idiot asked? Let's see here. Okay, so, Vocaloid is basically a compilation of computerized synth singing voices. Compilation, you may be wondering. Well, what I mean is that there are multiple voice banks to choose from, though you buy them each individually. These voice banks are known as Vocaloids. Now, that may be a bit confusing, so I'll try to explain. Vocaloid is a software used to create vocals for songs, or some people use it to screw around and make what is known as Talkloids, which are just random Vocaloids used to create memes and whatnot. A Vocaloid is a voice bank used for creating said vocals. It's a little confusing, I know, but each Vocaloid has their own personal mascot to give people an idea of what the voice holder looks like. Now obviously they look nothing like the actual voice providers for the Vocaloids, but they are meant to match the voice of said Vocaloid. Still following me? We've got a lot more to cover, so sit tight, relax somewhat, and keep listening. So, what are these mascots? Well, I can give a few examples. Some of the more popular ones that you may have heard about are Hatsune Miku, Kagami Len and Rin, Kaito, and Meiko. On to the next section. Okay, you may or may not have guessed it, but Vocaloid, the software, was in fact inspired by something else. You know how Vocaloids are technically singing computers, right? Well, back in 1961, there was a computer program to sing the song Daisy Bell. If any of you have been on TikTok, you may have heard the audio that sings a song in what may be described as a creepy robotic voice. I'll put the lyrics because I'm not singing. Anyways, Yamaha, the company behind the Vocaloid software, was inspired by this computer and originally tried to name Vocaloid Daisy, though the name was dropped due to copyright issues and instead changed to Vocaloid, the current name for the software. Whoa! Finally, talking about software! Sorry about that. Anyways, Yamaha started development on Vocaloid 1, otherwise known as V1, back in March of 2000. The first album to ever showcase Vocaloid vocals was titled History of Logic System, and the 18th song on the track, titled Ano Subarashi Ai wo Mo Ichido, or That Wonderful Love Once More, used the first voice boxes for the Vocaloids Kaito and Meiko. Now, back then, Kaito and Meiko sounded pretty different. Here's what they sound like in History of Logic System versus what they sound like with their V3 update.
Something only to you, the reminder.
You know, I realize there's a lot to this script. Never mind that. You may or may not be wondering, okay, Jack, we've learned about the early Vocaloids, but what about the popular ones that we see everywhere? I know. I was getting there. So the popular Vocaloids weren't actually released until Vocaloid 2, otherwise known as V2, was released. The most well-known Vocaloid, Hatsune Miku, was released with the first big batch of V2 Vocaloids. Other notable Vocaloids made around this time are Kagami Len and Rin, and Mega and Luca. Now on the designs of these Vocaloids. you'll notice they each have numbers. For instance, Miko has a tattoo on her arm that reads 01, Rin has one that reads 02, and Luca has one that reads 03. These numbers aren't just randomly placed numbers. They hold meaning. They are all Krypton Vocaloids, meaning they were created by the company Krypton. And the numbers signify what order they were made. These Vocaloids will sometimes be referred to as CV01, CV02, and CV03. CV standing for Krypton Vocaloid, and the numbers signifying the release order. Vocaloid 3, otherwise known as V3. There actually isn't too terribly much to talk about. V3 was the last Vocaloid software, as of 2021, to house voice boxes for Kaito and Meiko, sadly. But on the plus side, we got the release of some really cool Vocaloids, such as Oliver, V-Flower, and an Incannon, and Yohialoid. I probably butchered a couple of those names, forgive me. Vocaloid 4 marks the release of two of my personal favorite Vocaloids, aside from the ones released for V1 through V3. In November 2015, the Vocaloid Dex was released. To me, he sounds kinda like a cyborg, in the sense that he sounds like both a human and a robot, more so than the other Vocaloids, though technically all Vocaloids are classified as cyborgs. Anyways, then in January of 2016, Fukase, probably my number one favorite, was released. His voice has kind of a two-tone thing going on. He's good at hitting high and low notes, and it sounds cool when he sings both high and low partials in a song. Their designs cannot be classified as simple. Technically, none of the Vocaloids have simple design, but you have to admit, Dex kinda looks like a semi-stereotypical popular person, and Fukase has a very funky outfit. Vocaloid 5, otherwise known as V5, is the most recent Vocaloid software. Now, as far as I know, only a few of the older Vocaloids have V5 updates currently. However, V5 can use voice boxes from V3 and V4 software just fine. V5 does come with preset voice boxes, however, there is a very small amount of people who commercially use them. It's also worth noting that all of the Krypton Vocaloids, so Hatsune Miku, Kagami, Len and Rin, Mega and Luca, Kaito and Meiko have all been moved over to Krypton's own personal Vocaloid-esque software. And I don't think, if you look on the Vocaloid website, I don't think you can find their voice banks for sale anymore. I mean, you can find them on like Amazon, but you can't find them on the official Vocaloid website is what I mean. You can find them on Krypton's website. I'm not sure the name of the software, but I know that's where they've all moved, and they're currently more so focusing on Hatsune Miku because she's so popular. And with that, this presentation is done. So I know this wasn't like super great information, but I'm also terrible at organizing information. So I'm sorry if it was a little hard to follow, but I hope I made it understandable enough. Anyways, that's all for now. So bye, I guess.